I think there's more updates when it comes to Onyx, and even though nothing I say is financial advice, I think it's pretty exciting actually because not too long ago in my previous video I was talking about, an Onyx poll in particular, and it was regarding, about PancakeSwap and like kind of the BNB chain and whatnot. And again, feel free to check that video out if you want to hear about that. But I'm just saying, there's kind of like a new poll, and more specifically, I want to focus on something that is kind of, I think, very exciting for me at least. And that is this poll that is kind of intending to integrate polling directly into the main Onyx app. And why do I like the sound of this? It's because I think that through this, because Onyx by nature, right, we take a look at the Onyx DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, having this, let's say if it does go through, who knows, only time will tell what the results will be. But I'm saying, if let's say it does, it could maybe be a good catalyst in terms of kind of solidifying itself as one of these projects that are a DAO, but then at the same time, kind of making it easier because some people out there, maybe they want to be able to participate in stuff like this, who knows? So then I think that maybe if, let's say, it does get integrated to the app, hypothetically, it could be, just more efficient, right? This is just what I'm saying. When we take a look at a DAO, more specifically, I think there are some key features there that kind of makes it like, more so, I would say, decentralized than compared to other projects out there. Like, again, a DAO, a DAO, right? A decentralized autonomous organization, it is an entity that is designed to be fully autonomous without a central point of control. The rules of a DAO are established by a core team of committee members, and it's executed through smart contracts. And to attain voting power membership in a DAO, users are typically required to own its governance token. So then in theory, like, usually when it comes to these projects, anyone who holds, kind of like the token, right, can vote. But then again, just the whole process, it's not something that I'm very interested in. It's just kind of like a hassle for me, so I don't do it. But again, I'm only speaking on my perspective. I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But when it comes to Onyx, I'm still very excited for its future. And now I want to talk about XCN and maybe the hypothetical of it, let's say, going to the price of 25 cents during a fully fledged bull run. Because some people out there, when I talk about $1, they're like, okay, let's talk about, 10 cents or 5 cents. But I feel like that's a little bit too low, actually. Maybe in theory, who knows? I can't tell the future. So let's talk about 25 cents just as a hypothetical scenario. Now, if let's say it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $8.5 billion, and it's around an 18x from here. And keep in mind, right, something like XRP currently has a market cap that is well beyond $100 billion. And that arguably is the market leader when it comes to the space that, Onyx is in. And I think we can all arguably agree that, what? The altcoin space isn't doing the best, and XRP already has that. So let's say, something like XCN goes to around an $8.5 billion market cap during a fully fledged type of hypothetical altcoin season. I don't see why that's a little bit too ridiculous, But this is just my perspective. And again, some people may think, 25 cents is kind of bad, but it's still around an 18x from here. That's how much, XCN has gone down in price, right? Some people may view it as a bad thing, some people may view it as a good thing, but the way I take a look at it is that, again, even 25 cents doesn't seem that bad to me, at least in my perspective. For instance, if we take a look at Bitcoin, let's say Bitcoin, hypothetically in a make-believe scenario, some people are saying, 300 grand. But even despite the Bitcoin pullback, which is very small actually in the grand scheme of things, but I'm saying, let's say it goes to 300 grand. That's still slightly less than a 3x from here. Again, could Bitcoin do over a 10x hypothetically in the next 6 to 10 months? I highly doubt that. This is just my perspective. But then when it comes to something like XCN, it doesn't feel like that ridiculous to me to, let's say, do 5x or 10x, or you know what I mean? This is not something that I think Bitcoin could really do. Now, I can't tell the future, but then it doesn't seem that logical. Like, how can Bitcoin reach like, $1 million, let's say, right? If I'm talking about 10, 15, 20 years later, that's a different case. But in the next 6 to 10 months, it just doesn't seem that logical to me, in my opinion. So I get it, XCN, it's an altcoin, so I understand it's way less stable than something like Bitcoin, but it's something I want to believe in nonetheless, because I do believe in the market leaders like XLM and XRP, but then the market caps are pretty massive. So then I would rather just kind of like pay attention to something like XCN more than I do to them. And don't get me wrong, I still believe in XRP, I still believe in XLM, but then I just kind of feel like I want to allocate more towards something like XCN because, again, market cap I think is way lower. And also on top of that, I like the markets that it's focused on. And the amazing thing about Onyx is this, in my opinion. If we take a look at something like, Ripple and Stellar, of course we know they're number one and number two within this space. But then number three is XDC, and number four is arguably something like XCN. There's not that many competitors. Just think about this, right? Of course, there's something like ZBCN, there's XPR, there's Swiftcoin, but that's like not more than 10 even, So then it's not like we have 20, 30, 40 major competitors. That seems to not be the case. So if I kind of feel that way, why would I give up when it comes to XCN? Because I feel like if there's, let's say, a lot of attention for Ripple and Stellar, let's say during a fully fledged type of hypothetical altcoin season, why can't some of it kind of flow into XCN? Maybe, who knows? I mean, take a look at how well XCN did not too long ago before the big pullback, of course, but I'm saying it kind of did that given a time where I felt like the conditions weren't like that favorable for altcoins. You know what I mean? It's not like we saw a fully fledged type of altcoin season, and XCN still did that. So what would it do if, let's say, the market conditions were very favorable? Let's say there's a fully fledged type of altcoin season. Who knows? But then really, at the price of 25 cents, it wouldn't surprise me that much, because if XCN did that not too long ago, imagine what it could maybe do, let's say, again, if the markets were really good. But again, it's just a waiting game. I treat this like a marathon, by the way. I don't treat this like a sprint, because for me, I'm all about just staying consistent. It's not trying to day trade and all this. That's not my style. That's not what I do. I don't pull up price charts. Some people may ask, why don't I do that? It's because if, let's say, I'm just taking a look at the price chart, how can I know about updates when it comes to Onyx? How can I take a look at its fundamentals? That's not what I want to do. I'd rather focus on what the project is all about, as opposed to doing stuff like that, which in my opinion doesn't really do much, because okay, I'm drawing, let's say, a random triangle, let's say like a falling wedge pattern or whatever, cup and handle. What does that do? Like, the market's not going to pay attention to that. It's not going to look at that and be like, oh, wow, take a look at what Lee the captain drew. Let's, follow that. No, that's not how it works. So then why would I do that? No matter what line I draw, no matter what I do on the price chart, look, I could draw SpongeBob, I could draw whatever, on the price chart. It doesn't matter. It's not going to make the price do this or do that. So then I'd rather just focus on the fundamentals, focus on the updates, and that's pretty much it. But then again, 25 cents wouldn't surprise me whatsoever when it comes to something like XCN. However, only time will tell. And make sure to subscribe if you gained value from this video. Greatly appreciate it. It's Lee the captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.